Good afternoon. We made it to Friday. Welcome to 13 News at noon. It is gray and gloomy out there. Yeah, we really had this fog that led to some school delays this morning that came kind of piling in during sunrise. And we've had some clearing, but it's still pretty hazy out there.
Yeah, and we got the rain on top of it now. And I think this probably all started about Tuesday. So what are we on, four straight days?
Feels like it.
Thank goodness this is not happening a week from now. And as this would make for a very wet Circle of Lights preparation.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So,
weather's key for that.
Yeah, this is always fun this time of year. The crew is already looking ahead to next week. We will have that coming up here in just a little bit, but let's show you what's going on right now. Yeah, so as expected, this rain band that was southwest Indiana early this morning is now beginning to drift northward as expected here, and it's just going to be kind of a soggy day the remainder of the day. 49 in Indy at this hour, 47 in Muncie. These temperatures just aren't going to move much because of the cloud cover and because of the rain that we have in the air that's fairly saturated. So at times we will have visibility that's going to be pretty low. At times maybe not as much. Rainy, foggy, steady temperatures hovering right around 50 degrees. And semi-state games, it's still going to be damp. And we're still going to be in the 40s here if you're going to be going to some of the big ones here across central Indiana tonight. We will have the weekend forecast. Look ahead to Thanksgiving holiday coming up in the 7-day.
Sean, thank you. New this afternoon in the courtroom. The man charged with fatally shooting a woman in Whitestown went to court this morning. This is Kurt Anderson's first appearance in court before a judge since the Boone County prosecutors revealed the charges filed against him on Monday. Rich Nye is there covering that initial hearing and now has the very latest.
The man charged with shooting and killing a cleaning worker on the porch of his Whitestown home was brought to the Boone County Courthouse Friday morning wearing a bulletproof vest. Kurt Anderson is charged with voluntary manslaughter. At his initial hearing, the judge set bail at $25,000 cash or $2,500 surety. That was half of what the prosecutor asked for. Anderson will be on GPS monitoring, but not home detention. On November 5th, about 7 a.m., Maria Florinda Rios Perez de la Vasquez showed up at the wrong address to clean a home. She was shot in the head through the door. She was 32 years old, a mother of 4 children. Anderson will return to the Boone County Courthouse for a hearing on January 23rd. His trial is tentatively set for March 30th of next year. In Lebanon, Rich Nye, 13 News.
We also have developing news this afternoon. The Tippecanoe County coroner confirming one person is dead after a shooting involving Lafayette police. It happened on Portia Lane in the Waterford Court Apartments. Those are near I-65 and South Street. Police say it all started early, around 12:30 this morning. That's when they say an officer pulled a driver over that they thought might be impaired. Now, police say the man talked about hurting himself and then took off in his car. Officers say they did not chase him, and it was less than an hour later that officers followed that man's car to the apartment complex where investigators say the man then refused commands. Police say the man claimed that he had a weapon and moved a hand behind his back. That's when officers say they shot him. That man died at the scene. The officers involved now are on leave. That's standard protocol in instances like this. The coroner now is working to make an identification of that man. As we learn more, we'll bring it to you here in our newscast and on all WTHR platforms. Also today, funeral services are being carried out today for an Indiana National Guard member who was killed in a crash last Friday. The visitation was last night for Sergeant Terry Fry. His funeral started just over an hour ago. This is underway right now at the Frankfort First Church of the Nazarene. His burial will follow. The community is invited to come out to line the streets as the procession heads to the cemetery this afternoon. We have video that shows the aftermath of that crash. This is last week along I-65 in Boone County. The 23-year-old died after the Humvee that he was riding in, along with 3 other guardsmen, rolled over along the roadway. The cause of the crash is still under investigation today. Also today, a public visitation for this Delaware County Sheriff's deputy who was killed in the line of duty. The service for Corporal Blake Reynolds is scheduled from 2 o'clock this afternoon until 7 o'clock tonight. This in Muncie at the Grace Baptist Church. The funeral will follow at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That will be at Delta High School. Corporal Reynolds died a little over a week ago in a crash along the interstate on I-69 North. He was helping a stopped semi-driver when police say the driver of another truck hit him along the interstate. There is more pressure right now on fellow Republicans coming from Governor Mike Braun. He now says he'd support a change of leadership in the Indiana Senate. This is all part of the growing division about redrawing the state's congressional map. The Senate voted this week not to come back to the State House until January 5th. That's weeks after the deadline for having a special session on redistricting. The Senate Pro Tem, who is the president of this President Pro Tem Senate, Rod Bray, said, get that title out, repeatedly that the votes just aren't there for this vote. The governor says he believes that Bray is trying to shut down the issue. In fact, he says he would support replacing Bray in that position and any primary challenges to legislators who don't support redrawing the lines.
He's made some conscious decisions to make it difficult, at odds with almost everyone else in the party. So he'll have to deal with that. Hopefully he'll come around. It's not too late to do it, and we'll see what happens.
House Speaker Todd Houston says redistricting isn't dead in the House and asked members to keep the first 2 weeks of December open. And now more Indiana state lawmakers are receiving threats. New information for you now at noon. We are now learning that 2 more state senators say that they've been the target of recent threats. This includes a bomb threat. That now brings the total to 7 Indiana state senators that are telling 13 News that these have all happened, impacting them within the last week. 4 of them, Greg Good of Terre Haute, Dan Durnall of Highland, Rick Niemeyer from Lowell, and Spencer Deary of West Lafayette all say they're targeted by swatting attempts. None of the Republican state senators involved have voiced support for the special legislative session on redistricting. And because of similar cases all across the state, Indiana State Police say they are now stepping in and taking over these investigations.
I don't know what that motivation is. It appears on its face that yes. However, you know, we have to go on what we know, not what we think. So that's one of those things that we're going to continue to investigate.
These false emergency reports can come by phone, email, or other internet messaging. Tracking down the source will determine if this happens to be a state or a federal crime and exactly what potential charges could be. It is illegal. Governor Braun also addressed swatting when we spoke to him yesterday, and we have his remarks on that for you right now if you head to our website at WTHR.com. Looking ahead, it's almost time to prepare for the inevitable. We can't have in Indiana without having winter freezing, without having temperatures, without having snow and ice. And the city wants you to know that they're getting ready for all of it. Logan Gay takes a deeper dive.
Indy DPW leaders say Mother Nature might be unpredictable, but its updated snowplow plan should make the city's response more predictable than in years past.
So this more clearly delineates where thoroughfares are addressed, where connector streets, which are more highly traveled residential streets connecting to thoroughfares, when those are addressed, and when residential streets would be addressed.
DPW is going to operate like they always have when it snows, but you'll see these updates in action as the snow piles up.
0 to 2 inches working on those thoroughfares. You get over 2 inches, 2 to 4 is when DPW and potentially contractors will start addressing those connector streets. And 4 inches or more is when DPW may deploy contractors for residential streets.
This plan marks a major shift from January, when residents and council members grew frustrated over the lack of plowing on residential roads after a heavy snow. 13 News later uncovered that in 2020, the city scrapped its 6-inch rule and moved to a system that only plowed connector streets, leaving many neighbors unplowed. Council members say the new updates fix that.
We opened the books on something that hasn't been touched in forever. We modernized it. I think the things you heard tonight truly are modernization. We now have residential streets being plowed. We're talking about GPS tracking. We have defined snow limits.
Now they say they're ready for whatever comes next.
I hope that everyone can appreciate that their voice has been heard on this issue, and I look forward to seeing the results when we have the first snow over 4 inches.
A lot of people put a lot of hours, a lot of thought into this, and so, I mean, hopefully we're more prepared than ever.